In this edition of In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, it's time for keys to the game against the Cleveland Browns, the in-state rival, the Battle of Ohio, divisional opponent. Cincinnati Bengals have swept the Pittsburgh Steelers, swept the Baltimore Ravens, 0-1 against the Cleveland Browns, and lost 41-16 at home at Paul Brown Stadium. Should be a chip on the shoulder as big as a 2x4. Time to even that thing up. They want to win the football game. They're going to rest everybody. They're going to get ready for the playoffs. They are clinched the division, the AFC North. So they have earned the right to do whatever they want to do. The guys that go out there to play for the Cincinnati Bengals against the Cleveland Browns have to realize this is a division rivalry. This is a big football game. This is like your high school rival, your college rival. This is the professional rival, the Cleveland Browns. All right, some keys to the game. Cleveland can run the football, and I think they're going to still try to continue to do that. Baker Mayfield is not going to play, but I do think, honestly, I think the Cleveland Browns have, if not the best, one of the best backup quarterbacks in the National Football League. I mean, there's no doubt that Case Keenum can get it done. Case Keenum's a quality football player. He understands the Cleveland Browns offensive system, and he's going to go out there and execute at a high level. They will want to get a running game established to support Case Keenum's efforts. The Cleveland Browns are fourth in the National Football League in yards rushing. They're averaging 5.1 yards per attempt, best in the NFL. Over 141 yards rushing, 5.1 yard per attempt. That is strong. They're out-rushing the opponent by over 30 yards a game, yards that they rush for as opposed to the yards that the defensive football team allows. That's top 5 in the league, 5th in the league. Their average rush that they generate as opposed to the average rush the defense gives up is almost a yard, 0.9, almost a yard differential. 5th in the National Football League. This is a top 5 scenario in terms of running the football in just about every category you can think of. So you got to realize the Cincinnati Bengals have to stop the run, control the running game of the Cleveland Browns. It's going to be a big, big key in the football game. And the Bengals' run defense has been good all year. They're only giving up 96 yards a game, 5th best in the NFL, and they give up 4.2 yards a carry, 10th best in the NFL. So the Browns average 5.1, leads the league. The Bengals only allow 4.2, top 10 in the league. Something's got to give there. It's going to be an interesting matchup. No matter who's playing in this football game for the Cincinnati Bengals, discipline is going to be a big deal. And that means no stupid penalties. And the Bengals have been phenomenal in terms of penalties this year. 68 penalties, fewest in the NFL. 588 penalty yards, fewest in the NFL. By a long shot. The difference, the Cleveland Browns have incurred 40 more penalties. They've been penalized 108 times. 40 more penalties than the Bengals. I mean, that's a ton. 401 more penalty yards. 4 football fields of additional penalty yards than the Bengals have incurred. So you're looking at 989 yards in penalties, almost 1,000 yards in penalty yards against the Cleveland Browns. That differential, 40 penalties, 401 yards, that's going to be a scenario that carries over in this football game. The Bengals have to maintain their discipline, their poise. Let the Cleveland Browns lose theirs. I mean, 108 penalties, tied for 5th most in the NFL. They've been penalized, tied for the 5th most times. 989 yards, that's the 5th most penalty yards in the NFL. The Bengals, again, fewest penalties, fewest penalty yards. That trend has to continue. Bunch of injuries that the Bengals want to nurse a little bit, getting ready for the first round of the playoffs. Very few starters, if any, will be playing in this football game. So a way to take care of business is to get a special team score, a defensive score, pick up a fumble, score, intercept a pass, pick 6. On the season, the Bengals are -2 in the turnover department, 19th in the NFL. Cleveland's -1, 18th in the NFL. They're both in about that same category. And again, I've said this ad nauseum, but it's a fact. In the 10 wins, the Bengals have given the football away 5 times. 5 times. That's good ball security. In the 6 losses, they've given it away 16 times. That is definitely the biggest reason the Bengals have had more success than failure. 5 giveaways in the games that they've won, and they've won 10 of them. That's got to continue. Don't give the football up. If you give in the first game, the Bengals were -3 in the turnover department. Plus, the Cleveland Browns had 2 fourth-down stops against the Bengals. The Bengals had 5 possessions that didn't end with a kick. That's why they get blown out. The first turnover, the Bengals go on a 12-play drive and throw a pick 6. They drive 75 yards in 12 plays. At the 1-yard line, 99-yard pick 6 by Ward. Then they get the ball. They go 9 more plays for 75 yards and a touchdown. The Bengals had run 21 plays for 150 yards and had scored 7 points. The Cleveland Browns hadn't run a play yet, didn't have a yard yet, and they had 7 points because of the big pick 6 turnover. 7-7 football game. Are you kidding me? 21 snaps, 150 yards, and you don't even have a lead? I mean, that's how that first game went. The Bengals were the epitome of self-destruction. The other thing, it's the ABCs of football we're talking about here. In the red zone, bend but don't break. Cleveland has scored a touchdown 63% of the time offensively in the red zone. 7th best in the NFL. You got to make sure you take care of business in the red zone. The Cleveland Browns have not scored a touchdown offensively in the red zone 8 times. Defensively, they've only held the opponent to no points 4 times. They're -4. The Bengals, they've held the opponent. They haven't scored points in the red zone offensively 7 times. Their defense has held the opponent without a point in the red zone 6 times. The Bengals are -1. Cleveland's -4. The Bengals have an edge there in terms of efficiency in the red zone. Bend, but don't break. That's going to be a big factor in this football game. Bottom line, for crying out loud, it's the Battle of Ohio. Paul Brown founded both football teams. The Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals football game has always meant a ton to both respective franchises, and it will continue to be that way. Whoever's out on the football field representing the Cincinnati Bengals, keep that in mind. There's a lot of history, a lot of tradition, a lot of pride in this football game. You don't want to be swept by the Cleveland Browns after sweeping the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. You don't want to go 0-2 against the Cleveland Browns and finish the season on a down note, even though you go into the playoffs as the division champion. Show some pride. Pump your chest up a little bit. Score first. That'd be a big key as well. Get off to a quick start. Don't take a situation where you're down 10 points, you're down 14 points, and you have to mount a comeback on the road. Get off to a good, quick start in this football game. Scoring first, I think, is a big, big factor in this football game as well. I'll be very interested in the battle of the trenches. I wonder how much Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney are going to play. They're going to test those young Bengal offensive tackles. Jonah Williams will not be playing in this football game. So it's going to be Fred, big old Fred at one tackle, Isaiah Prince at the other tackle. Fred Johnson, Isaiah Prince. You got the edge rushers. Get ready. It's going to be a challenge for you. Cincinnati Bengals, Cleveland Browns. Can't wait.
At First Star Logistics, we're a very strict company that really puts the pressure on our employees. Breaks? What are those?
That's what I'm talking about, Icky. Get the body right, then the mind's right. You know,
gotta get that body right.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Become a star with a chance to earn the highest commission percentages in the industry as a freight broker agent. Check out firststarlogistics.com.